The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are either listening to or watching UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. A little bit about myself. I am a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, and mentor. I'm also a registered nurse. I'm well versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself, and I've studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. I'm an animal communicator. I'm going to address that in a few minutes because I just took a great course with Julie Jean Bassett, who I see is in the chat here. I'm also well versed in the paranormal. I always say I didn't go looking for it. It found me, and we lived in an extremely violent, not the humans, the spirits in my previous home. And we shared some of our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor. You can find that on YouTube. You can find it all over. It's called Demonic Hauntings, Season 4. Episode 9. And I always like to do a shout out for the station manager of our network. And she also has 2 shows too. It's Michelle DeRoche. You will see her in that episode. I did not know her then. I never ever met her. That's how many years ago it was. But she hosts tomorrow Beyond the Outer Realm from 2:30 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. And then she has her main show on Wednesday and Thursday nights called The Outer Realm at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'd like to thank Carnation, and that's a global brand around the world. So for wherever you're listening from or watching, if you see something by Carnation, please consider purchasing that, because we have Carnation Mondays here. They sponsor all the wonderful content and shows that are on this network on Mondays. Like we've got the Light Gate coming up in 2 hours with Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron. So yeah, thank you, Carnation, for doing that. Also, to all my fellow Canadians out there, I see a few of you out there. It's Thanksgiving weekend here, so happy Thanksgiving. I always say we should have it at the same time as our American friends, because Thanksgiving is not quite the holiday that it is in the U.S., let me tell you. If you guys like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family. There really is something for everyone on the network. It's not all just paranormal and UFO. That's why we have 2 names, United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. There's a whole mixture. We stream several shows daily, live 7 days a week. And when we're not streaming live, the archive server kicks in and it randomly picks shows over the last 25 plus years that this network's been around. So we're streaming live all the time. Now we have a website. It's getting revamped. It's www.uprntalkradio.com. From what I hear in the grapevine, there should be a chat room coming up in there, possibly a merch store. So watch for that. What else do I want to tell you? This network actually broadcasts to every country in the world, and we love that. But 80 to 85% of our audience is audio only. So if you're listening live and you're thinking, geez, I want to join in the conversation, because this show and my second show that I do Beneath the Hollow Moon, with the lovely Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, who is a close friend of mine. She's actually coming up to where I live in Thunder Bay for a Paracon this weekend. So hopefully she's not too busy. We'll be able to get together, but I believe we're doing our Thursday show. I'll see, depending on the weather. I know she's already left, and it's a long drive from where she lives in Southern Ontario. So there'll be a show. I don't know if it'll be live, because if she isn't back up here in Thunder Bay, it's going to be a little hard if she's driving. But Carrie Lynn also hosts Spirit Switchboard on Fridays here at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But both those shows are very audience participative. We love that you guys all join us and join the chat. So I always say you have to see us to join in the chat. So I'm going to quickly name off some of the platforms where you can join us if you're listening. You can go to Facebook with my name, Lorilei Potvin, as well as my LinkedIn under the same name. My YouTube channel is The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We are streaming to Instagram under the Angel Rock 1508. We are also streaming to the network under UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Networks Facebook page. We are on our main YouTube channel by that name. We're streaming on Twitch by that name. I'm streaming on Rumble under the owner of the network, Joe Montaldo. We have to give him a huge shout out. He provides this platform for us under Jojo Mon. And we are streaming to my guest's YouTube, and I'm going to let her tell you about it in just a minute. Lastly, if you want to watch us on TV, you can. We do have a TV channel for the network. It's on Roku. You go to the channel store and you're going to type in the search bar UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a drop-down list. We're about the third or fourth one down, and you're looking for UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio. That's how you can watch us. So, we just got weird noise. Sometimes I get lots of EVPs on this show, believe it or not, Carmen, including on Thursday's night show. I have a whole file. I'm going to read your bio on here. So hang on. Carmen Turner-Schott has a master's in social work plus an LISW, is a best-selling author, practicing licensed clinical social worker, astrologer, and teacher with a national and international clientele. She has been working as an astrological counselor with victims of trauma for over 25 years. She completed her Master of Social Work degree at, oh geez, I just lost that. Give me a sec here. It just disappeared on me. I'm just going to say welcome because I'm not going to find it. You are a prolific author. You are one of the sweetest souls I have ever met. And I've told you this before. You were the first person who really got me to understand about astrology. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. So let's say hi. Let's say hi to everybody. So where can people watch on your YouTube channel if you want to give it a quick shout out?
Yes, it's Carmen Turner-Schott, SCHOTT. That's it. Carmen Turner-Schott. I'm live there now if you want to go on there.
I told her how to do it.
Yeah, this is all high tech. Age of Aquarius, man. Pluto and Aquarius, you know.
We were going to try to do it the last time you were on, and it sounds very confusing, but it's really not that bad, is it? Once you figure it out.
Worked. Yeah, because I had a StreamYard account. It made it a lot easier. And then, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to. You got to have a free StreamYard account. Make sure you confirm it. And then if you're on StreamYard, I don't know if the free StreamYard, like if someone's doing a podcast, but the business one definitely allows for guests to stream. So let's say hi to everybody. We've got VetGirl84. We got Mish here. I always say she's joining us from the future because it's Tuesday morning over in Australia. She says she has her. She says, how's your hair looking? I don't know who she was talking to, but I seen you guys chatting before we got live here. Heidi Gall says, good day, Lorilei. Much love from Boulder. Hang on. We're still going through here. Come on, scroll. Julie Jean Bassett. I always give Julie Jean Bassett a shout out. She's an incredible animal communicator. I took my animal communication course with her. She's helped me with several of my animals. And she's also a pet medium. She's an incredible shamanic practitioner healer as well. I've had a session with her that was life-changing. And she just had a class on the weekend about animal chakras. And I have to say, there was a vet there at the class. Like, how promising is that to see a vet looking at that?
I love that. I need to get in touch with Julie because I got my little baby here on my lap, my mini golden doodle Rosie. So I would love to get a reading for her or something. So absolutely.
Oh, Julie is amazing. So if you guys want to get a hold of her, you can get a hold of her for the pet stuff at www.juliejeanbassett.com. And the shamanic practitioners side is also whitetailshamanichealing.com. But I'll hook you up with Julie. No problem. Lots of
Yes.
people. Carrie Lynn's worked with Julie with her pets, and
Yeah.
I always call her out when she's here because she's phenomenal at what she does.
I love
And the
that.
healing, she'll be able to tell you, like, for example, before my son passed away, him and his cat were so bonded. And all of a sudden she started peeing on his bed sporadically.
Oh,
Back to the root of it, wasn't a health issue. It was a behavioral
wow.
thing. And then
Yes.
when she was grieving,
Oh,
she just was lost. I reached out to
oh,
Julie because I didn't know what to do for her. And she helped. Mm-hmm.
good, good.
Mm-hmm. So Carmen saying hi to everybody. People are saying hi to you too. Heidi Gull. I saw Vet Girl 84. Oh, Vet Girl says I summoned the dragon. I'm not sure what that's all about, but you've got Benno from Oz 1975.
Okay.
Says good evening. It looks like Canada. I think maybe Canadians he meant to write.
Yes.
We got Z Sun Dragon. I call him Kevin by his muggle name. He's Canadian. Got people from all over the world here tonight.
Nice.
We're still going through. I love that everybody chats to one another. We've got MK says hello. And Julie's wishing everybody happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Thank you. And let's see. I'm glad you guys are all chatting to one another. That's awesome. I've seen some other names on here, though, so give me a quick sec here. We got Celtic Seer, who says, Pluto has gone direct today, while the other outer planets are still retrograde. What will be revealed in the coming weeks? How about we'll star that for you, and we'll get to it, I'm sure. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
We'll star it. Still going through. I love that you guys are chatting, because sometimes people don't start chatting till we're like well into the show. So hang on, I'm scrolling. I think we got another question, so I will star that. Just make sure on Instagram. It's so weird with Instagram. Sometimes it's like nobody, and then you look back and 10 minutes later there's like 30 people there. It's super strange. So let's talk about your books. You've got 2 new books. You want to give people what the titles are, and you got one's coming out in a week, is it?
In December. Yeah, the Astrology's Zodiac Archetypes is the brand new one that isn't released yet. It's out for pre-order though. But my book that just came out in August is Your Astrological Energy, and maximize the power of your birth chart. So it's really about how astrology's energy, and that's why astrology works, and how we can harness all 12 signs energies, because we have all 12 zodiac signs somewhere in our natal chart, our birth chart. And so I talk a lot about the planets in each sign, each house, the transits, how that affects you when you have a transit of the planets through the different houses, and then how to harness each sign's special strengths. And then in Astrology Zodiac Archetypes, I wrote this book with Bernie Ashman, a good friend of mine, and he and I kind of merged my love of Carl Jung and, the psychologist archetypes are very similar to the 12 zodiac signs. And then we hit on the past life patterns in our astrology.
Let's back up for a second here, because we're going to have people listening. We've got some people that understand astrology, but there are other people that have no idea what it is, what a birth chart is. Just a quick overview for people and why astrology is important.
Yes. So for those that don't, are learning or beginners. So, what you read in the horoscope, just your sun sign and all that's just one little part of you. That is not the depth of astrology. So to truly, understand, it's pretty simple. If you think about this, on the moment, time, place of your birth. So your month, your date, your year, your place, your time. If you look up from the earth at the sky at that moment, there's 12 star constellations. We call them the 12 signs. They're in the sky. It's astronomy. They're there. Astrology has been around before there was even astronomy. Just so you know, it's been around since ancient times. So those 12 zodiac signs are there. And then there's 10 main planets that we use in astrology. And we do asteroids, but I'm not going to get into that. It's a whole thing. But the 10 main planets, and those planets are going to be in a certain star constellation when you're born. And then what we do as astrologers, we break the sky into 12 sections like a pie. It's like we take
Okay.
a picture of the sky at that moment,
Mhm.
time, place of birth. We put it on a piece of paper, and it's a wheel with 12 houses. They're numbered 1 through 12, and the planets are going to be in one of those houses and one of those signs. And then there's things going on in the middle of that birth wheel on the paper. That's aspects, which are energies that are going on between those planets when you were born, when we took a picture of that sky at the moment of your birth. And that is what we call the map of your soul. I call the birth chart astrology, the natal chart, a map of your soul, because that chart does not change. That is your destiny, your soul's mission this lifetime, your personality, how you love, your strengths, your weaknesses, your gifts, things you bring from past lives, your psychic abilities, you name it. I can see it in a birth chart. And I just help validate for people what they already know about themselves, because astrology is energy. The full moon affects the tides of the ocean. It affects our emotional nature. The moon sign is your emotional nature. The sun sign is your main identity and personality that you show the world. And there's a lot to it, but that's basically how we get a birth wheel. You got to know, to really know your natal chart, you need to know your time of birth, AM or PM. It's really important to have the most accurate chart, your month, date, and year, and then your city, state, country. And you can go on astro.com, or you can, contact me, and you can put your information in and it'll give you a wheel, just like I was talking about. And it's a symbolic language. So it's the symbols. So there's a little cheat sheet that I do when I give people a wheel that'll tell you all the symbols, what planet it is, the symbols of each sign, the 12 of them, what those are, and then, the houses, what they represent. So it's kind of like the planet's energies is what makes you who you are. And whatever house it's in is where that energy is expressed in the world. It's where you express that energy in your life. So even twins can have a very different personality if they're born enough time apart. So
Yeah.
because the moon sign changes every 2 hours, or every two to 3 days. The rising sign changes every 2 hours. And so the time is important. And so there's a lot to it. I mean, we can dig in and I'll answer any questions. I hope that
Well,
explains.
I'm gonna shout your praises, because I do to so many people, and I do about you, because I remember, I always forget the name of the title. Please forgive me. The first book you came on, it was a bit before it, and Fallen Angels, and it was about the 4th and 8th houses. Okay, do you want to get people that title name? Because
The 8th and 12th. Yeah. The Phoenixes and Angels book. Yes.
Okay, so when I saw that, when our mutual friend who connected us, that's a PR person,
Yeah.
When they sent that, I went, oh my gosh, like, what does astrology have to do with fallen angels? I got to know more. So I had you on. I've actually replayed that show. I don't take time off out normally, but if I do, I've replayed that show, because it was all of our shows together have been really good, but that was really, really unique. But I tell people the story, not on air, but off air. I wasn't sure of the exact timing of my birth chart. Okay. I knew it was around between 5:07 and probably just before 5:30 a.m. And I sent what I thought what might have been my birth time. I did not tell Carmen this. I just sent it. She messaged me back and she goes, are you sure that's your exact birth time? I think it could maybe be about 30 minutes one way or the other. That's how good you are.
Oh. Thank you. Absolutely. No, this isn't your chart. We got to get, this is off. Yeah. I can feel it, when I know someone. It happens all the time. Even when I don't know you, but especially when I know you, but someone will, send their birth stuff, and I'll just have a feeling. And I'm like, I don't think this is their chart. And I'll say, are you sure this is the right time?
You did. I never even said that to you beforehand, that I'm not exactly sure of that. Like, it was about 30 minutes either way. Like, what I knew, it was after 5 a.m. and I knew it was before 5:30 a.m. And you already picked that up yourself. So I tell that story lots off air to people. And then I've never forgotten that show, because I remember you said exactly what you just said. Now, it's basically a snapshot of the 12 constellations in the sky of when you were born and what you said much more eloquently, but it was about you concentrating. And we want to talk about your new books, but I do have to sing your praises about that book, because you talked about the 8th and 12th houses, the energy. And I run into people now and it's like, oh my gosh, I wonder what their birth chart shows because of what they're going through, the characteristics.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, really, you know, what got me into astrology in the first place, I mean, we can talk about it. It was the 8th and 12th houses, because I was always having these strange experiences I could not explain. You know, I was not raised to believe in astrology or any of these things. I grew up in the Midwest, which is very, you know, conservative Baptist, you know, I mean, I never felt like I was like anyone around me. I always believed in angels, and I was like afraid of the dark, and I was very imaginative, and I always was just very different than anyone in my family. And I was kind of, you know, the oddball, and very sensitive to people's energy. You know, I could feel people's pain, and like I just thought it was just me. And so what happened was, my senior year in high school, I had two things happen. I lost a friend through an accidental shooting, which really changed my life. And I had never known anyone that had died. I was 16, and that was really hard. And then that same year, I came back from a basketball game one night, and it's in the book. I always had to have my bed facing the door, and I always had to have the door open with a nightlight on, because in the house that I grew up in, when we moved there in 5th grade, I think it was the land, I don't know, but it was haunted. And I could not, and my mom, I'd wake her up, you know, she'd say, go back to sleep, it's your imagination, you know, and I'm like, no, it's not, you know. So no one ever, you know, my mom and dad, they didn't know what to do with me. I feel so bad for them. But I was very aware that I had some kind of an ability. Now, I didn't know what empath meant. I didn't know what psychic abilities were. I just knew I had something, and no one could ever explain it to me. But I would dream things that would happen all the time. It started in high school. I don't really remember when I was little, but I was told by my cousins that babysat me that I would play with imaginary friends, and I would talk to people that weren't there. No, I don't remember that, but they said it freaked them out, you know, and I would do stuff. But it was kind of interesting, because I woke up one night, and there was a glowing ball of light in my doorway, and it was an orb. And now, you know, and I researched all this stuff after this, but it was floating there, and it was about the size, bigger than a softball, and it was like yellow, white, translucent, and it was floating there. And I was terrified, because of course it was the unknown. I'm 16 years old. I didn't know what this was, and I tried to scream, and I had no voice. It froze me. And people have asked me, well, it was a you know, they said that it was a sleep paralysis. No. I have argued that with so many people. I was awake, fully awake. I knew I was awake. It wasn't like sleep paralysis. I've had that happen as well. And that was a different experience than this. This was truly, I was awake, and it was like it froze me, where I couldn't yell for my mother, and I just couldn't move. And I watched it, and it would go down the hall, come back. And the only thing I had control of was my mind. This is how I knew it wasn't a sleep paralysis thing, because it wasn't that middle state where you're not fully awake. I was, you know, awake. I kept saying, please don't have it come in my room, over and over again. And it never did. And it never did. And after hours, I mean, I laid there watching it. It released me, is the only way I know how to explain it. And I finally hear, Mom, look in my doorway. I finally get a voice out, and I said, do you see it? You know, because our house was small, her room, she could see into my hallway, my door. She said, yes. I said, what is
your mom saw it?
Yes. This is the first time my mother, who was very skeptical about all my weirdness, she was like, I don't know. She's like, maybe someone's shining a flashlight in. I'm like, no, Mom, it has 4, you know, because it was going up and down the hall, went in the bathroom, came in, and she said, maybe it's a lightning bug. I'm like, it's huge. It's not a lightning bug. I mean, she was trying,
Mom.
Trying to rationalize this thing. And she's like, just go back to sleep. And I'm like, so she did.
I can't go back to sleep.
I laid there like terrified, the
Oh,
rest of the night till I think I finally passed out from exhaustion, guys. I mean, I don't even, and I woke up the next day and I went in there and to the kitchen and she said, that was not a lightning bug. I have no idea what that was. And she was scared.
I bet.
And I decided to get some books. No, let me right. So she had a friend at work who studied Eckankar. You know, this is back in the 90s. You know, I don't know if you heard of Eckankar. It's like a spiritual group.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, now that you said it again, yeah, I have.
Eckankar. I haven't heard about it in many years, but in the 90s, it was a thing. And they told the lady that studied Eckankar that worked for my mother was into angels and spirit guides and all this stuff. And she told my mom about that it was a guardian angel or it was her spirit guide. So I got into it and I bought all these books on angels and everything. And then I had my mom take me to this store in St. Louis, Missouri, a little mystical bookstore. And that's where I bought my first astrology book. And that is how I taught myself how to do charts when I was in high school. When I was 16, I started doing charts by hand and learning how to do it, learning about all the placements, learning all the signs, learning the symbols. I taught myself. I never took a formal class. And then I was obsessed with it because it validated my weird experiences. That Phoenixes and Angels book was, a lot of the stories were my own, and clients from all over the world. I wrote an article about the mysteries of the 8th house. I wrote an article about the 12th house and these patterns I would see, and people from all over the world started writing me. This is back in, you know, when my daughter was a baby, 20-something years, 21 years ago. And they would say exactly what you said is what happened to me. I had an orb in my doorway, or I dreamed things that happened. And I started looking at their astrology charts, and all of them had 8th and 12th house planets. And I started researching this. Like, there's something about having planets in those houses that gives you psychic and spiritual abilities. And I swear I've been doing research now on it. And I have like quantitative studies where I've done a random 100 people send me your birth chart that have 8th house planets. And I have 5 patterns that I've identified. 99.9 people, 999 out of, 1,000 will tell me yes to all 5 patterns. Same with the 12th house. And I found out I'm not alone. There's so many people that were like me, and I realized it was my 8th and 12th house planets, why I was the way I was, and why I felt different, and why I saw orbs, and why I dreamed things, right? And now I have Facebook groups. I started when Facebook started with, I have a group on the 12th Astrological House. I have a group on the 8th Astrological House, and I call 8th house people Phoenixes because it's Scorpio energy, and I call 12th house people fallen angels because it's Pisces energy. And what it is 12th house people feel like they are not from this earth, and they have 1 foot in the mystical, 1 foot in the practical world. And then 8th house people, because it's associated with Scorpio and the planet Pluto, they usually experience mediumship abilities. They see ghosts. They're connected to the death. They lose someone at a young age. Like I've lost a lot of people through accidents, like with guns. That's kind of what happened.
Mine was mostly in the 8th house. I think you found too, wasn't it?
I knew you had, yeah, when I tweaked it, I knew you had to have 8th house. And and it's just been my passion. And I'm doing another research article right now about trauma in the 8th house, because a lot of people that have trauma have 8th house and Scorpio, a lot of that in their chart. And it's pretty cool. And I've just spent my life researching astrology, and I'm a therapist. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So this is like a fringe topic, right? That it's becoming more popular, but I'm trying to show other helping professionals, counselors, social workers, that this is a tool of self-awareness. And I did a presentation recently. I got a new job. I'm teaching social work for MSW students. Yeah. So I'm teaching about crisis intervention, working with trauma survivors, all that. And I was asked to present a fringe topic, and in Kentucky just a couple weeks ago, and I did it on astrology. And it was a group of all educators that were professors of social work from different universities. And I made it. I had a 65 slide show. I didn't even get into my research on the 8th and 12th. They really would have liked that. I didn't have time. I only had an hour, but I talked about the archetypes and the signs and their strengths, their personalities, how they heal, how each sign heals. And I talked about how Carl Jung was an astrologer. And people don't know that. And he wrote letters to Sigmund Freud. And, and their faces were like, they because they didn't know they're like, astrology's weird. But then they're like, oh, we didn't know that. But he wrote letters to Sigmund Freud that he had studied like over 400 marital couples' birth charts to help them. I mean, this was Carl Jung writing letters to Sigmund Freud about astrology and how accurate it was and everything. So I'm using those facts to try to bring this tool into the mainstream, where we use it as a tool in counseling self-awareness, because it is fringe. So people still don't quite understand it. But when I asked the room, I had like a room, 100 people. How many of you know your sun sign? They all raised their hand. Everybody knows, they're interested in it. Why? Because they know it's accurate.
Well, I had someone on recently, Joni Templeton Skinner, and she does astrology, but she uses it with true crime. And the other thing, she learned forensic astrology from this woman in Australia. And she said it is 99.9% accurate. If there's an error, it has to be the person plugging in the numbers. And she's teaching law enforcement in the States, a couple sheriffs, a couple other things, because they have seen how it is. She goes, we don't know why it works, but it works.
And that's what I always said. It's energy, and it's the energy. It's our soul. Our soul comes in at that moment, time, place of birth. We bring all of our patterns, all of our memories, our past lives, our strengths, our talents. We bring all that into this life, but we have a soul mission and purpose this life. And that's what we call the north node of the moon. It looks like horseshoes or headphones, and it's in your chart. And it's a calculation based on the moon. And it represents what your soul came here to learn. The south node is what you've already mastered in past lives. And the north node is your future, what your soul needs to master this life. What sign it's in is the traits you're learning to embrace. And what house it's in is where you're learning to master and express those traits. And then we're here to balance the nodes, but we're here to let go of the attachment to the past and how we used to do things. We have to embrace the new. So the nodes are really important. We have a book, me and Bernie, that wrote the Zodiac Archetypes book. We have a book called Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon. We wrote it together. It's out there if people are interested. And it's simple, easy to understand. Anybody can pick it up. You don't have to know astrology. You just need to know your north node, south node, and you will love the book. It tells you your strengths, your soul mission, what you're here to master. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Benno's asking, that's why I left it up here. It's just a quick question. We have quite a few questions already, but he's asking, is your sun sign the normal zodiac sign? Like, I'm a Leo. Would that be my sun sign? That's what he's asking.
Yeah. The sun and the moon and the rising sign are really the three. I say that's the top three things you need to learn about first, because there's a lot. It gets deep. I mean, but you need to start with what is your sun sign? So everyone born on August 26th, for instance, we know the sun was in Virgo. So how astrology works is that it's based on the sun will be in a certain star constellation on your month and day of birth. The month and day will always be the same. So anyone born on July 5th is going to be a Cancer sun. The sun will be in Cancer. Like right now, when we look at the sky right now, it's Libra season. The sun is in the constellation of Libra right now as we're talking. So if a baby's born right now, their sun sign is Libra. Now the moon has to do with, it moves every 2 to 3 days. So the moon is pretty quick. So the time, place, where you're at in the world.
That's why you need to know that.
That's why you need to know your time, because the moon and the sun doesn't change much, but the rising sign is important. That's your mask. That's how you relate to the world and how people first perceive you is the rising sign. So it can be very different than your sun sign, your main identity. So people can misjudge you. Like if I always know, like when I feel people's energy, I typically pick up their rising sign. And so if it's different than your sun sign, people say, oh, you're nothing like I thought you were, you know, when they finally get to know you, because they judge you based on first impression and appearance. That's your rising sign. And
I've
if
heard
it's
that before.
yes,
When I was younger, not so much this age, but when I was from the time probably high school into my university years, I used to hear that all the time. You're completely different than I thought you were. I always heard that they thought I was either snotty or biatchy, we'll say the word for the radio and YouTube, and that I was a snob, and I
oh
I
man,
wasn't. I was
no,
like an athlete, like you and I've talked
yeah,
about basketball affair before, like, and I was nothing like that. And I heard that
no.
all the time. I heard a lot of things in university from even one of my profs. That's how I realized I was very powerful as an empath, being able to affect a classroom. I came in late and I was upset about something. I didn't usually get upset, but I didn't slam my books. There was about 60, 70 nurses in the same classroom.
No.
And I sat down very quietly, and the prof stopped the class and said, do you know, Lorilei, when you enter the classroom and you're in a great mood, the whole class is in a great mood. But when you're not, she said, that's
Oh,
also that way. And I didn't come in angry. I wasn't slamming my book. But I have
no.
never forgotten that. Never, ever, ever.
Wow. See, it's kind of it's energy. It's like some people are going to be very comfortable with certain rising signs, you know, certain energies. Some people are going to be intimidated by some people's
That's
energy.
what I hear a lot of time from people
Intimidated.
is
Yeah.
they thought I was intimidating, and I've heard that through my whole life. Like even say, I meet someone in person for the first time, say they've seen the show or just
Yeah.
whatever, as a nurse, whatever it was, people,
Sure.
I've heard that my whole life. Like I thought you seemed really, I was really
Yeah.
intimidated by you. And I'm like, why? I'm
I
not like
know. I know it's, and then some people be like, you know, people think that I'm cold or mean or I'm unemotional, but I'm not.
not at all.
They get misjudged, and that's the rising sign, guys. That if your
Okay.
rising sign is not the same as your sun sign, people are not going to really know who you are. They're going to think you're a certain way till later, till they get
Yeah.
to know you. And then the moon is your emotional nature. It's what you hide that because you got to feel trust and know that you
Because you're
can be
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
that's
vulnerable.
your emotions. So people that love you and your family will see your moon sign readily, but people that don't know you, we typically don't show our emotions to people at work unless we trust them. And so, and people will start to feel how you are emotionally once they get to know you. That's your moon sign. And then the sun sign is what you're comfortable showing people. That's like your main personality. So someone was asking here, the midheaven and the nodes. Yeah. The
Oh, I
midheaven.
started that. I'll put it up for you. I started. So just give me a
Yeah,
second.
I love answering questions. So no question is a dumb question.
Oh, did
Put
I?
any,
Oh, here it is.
put any questions in here and I'll tell you about it. So so you know how we talk about when you're born, time, place, date, everything. The rising sign is what we call the ascendant. That's the
Okay.
sign that starts the first house cusp of the birth wheel of
Okay.
your birth chart. It's on the horizon, like early morning. So like people that are born really, like I was born at 7 in the morning, really early, 7:35. So the sun was in Virgo when I was born, and I have Virgo rising. So I have the same rising sign as my sun sign. And the sun was in the 12th house because it was early morning in the United States, right? So the rising sign is that sign when the, you know, before the sun comes up or sun's coming up. And then the ascendant starts the first house and you go right across the wheel to the 7th house. That's called the descendant. That's the marriage and partnership house. Relationship is the 7th house cusp, which we call the descendant. Whatever sign is on the 7th house can show how you are when you're in relationships, what kind of people you attract, depending on what sign is on that 7th house cusp. Then the midheaven is the very tip top of the chart. It is the 10th house cusp. So the 10th house is the midheaven, which is the public image. It's the career, it's work, it's recognition, it's the public. And it's the kind of career, whatever is on the midheaven is what we call it, the 10th house. Whatever sign is there, whatever planets are in the 10th house or near the midheaven are very important, because that's going to show your success in your work and in your public life. So people that are famous, for instance, they often have a planet that in their birth chart that is close to the midheaven. So like 9th house or 10th, close to the midheaven, that's very important to have planets there. And it often can show fame or good luck or challenges with career work, or, or even, lots of gossip, or, something shocking. If Uranus is right on your 10th house and you're a celebrity, you may end up in the news over something shocking, so things like that. And then the midheaven's career in the outer world. And then we call it the 4th house is we call it IC. It is the home and family. It's where you withdraw from the public world, your home, your family, the house you live in, your childhood home, your ancestors, your parents. That's where you withdraw from the world, is your home. That's the IC. So MC is career and work in the public, and IC is your 4th house, home and family. And then ascendant is your mask, how people see you, how you physically look. It's kind of cool. There's websites you can look at. They'll look at famous people, their rising signs only. They'll look at their rising sign, which is also called the ascendant. Okay, what sign's on the ascendant? That's your rising sign. That sign, they'll take pictures of their faces, and they'll put them all together, and you'll see that all Aquarius rising people often have similar features. Same with Virgo, same with Scorpio. They have a certain energy about them. Energy, your astrological energy. So they have an energy. And so that's how I typically guess people. When I'm around them, I pick up their rising sign energy. See? Yeah. I'm like,
we have a question. We do have a question, though. I want to on Instagram. It's not showing up on because Instagram doesn't show up.
Yes.
So Carrie's Compass. Hi, Carrie. She's I forgot what her name is on YouTube. She's usually on YouTube, but she's on Instagram tonight. And she says, does Scorpio rising get misinterpreted like that? And I believe it was when you mentioned Scorpio rising a few minutes ago.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, that's a good question. So Scorpio rising people, there's two things that happen. People either love you or you feel like they hate you. So a lot of times, and what it is, it's nothing that you did. What it is that it is your energy. Scorpio rising people are very intimidated by them, because there's this secretive, mysterious, hidden intensity about you when you walk into the room. So people are either very drawn to you. It's same with 8th house people. People either love us or hate us. They want to tell you all their problems, share all their problems with you. Oh yeah, they tell you everything.
Don't know you even. And I think my record was 8 people. I was at the Dollarama, Canadian Dollar Tree version thing, and I didn't mind, but I kept thinking, what the heck is the matter with me? Like, I know I am an empath. I do know, like I said, I have to be very careful of my emotions when I go out into a crowd, and it's not being egotistical. I know I can affect people, but I was out, and it was during the struggle over the last 5 years, we'll say, without saying the word, and people were lonely, right? And I had 8 people, different people, come up to me, and some of them were crying, and they were like telling me their whole life story. And then they go, I don't know why I'm telling you this, right? But they find you. It's energy. They don't know what it is, but it's energy, right?
It's your vibration. It's your energy. It's your Scorpio rising or your Scorpio sun or your 8th house planets, which is Scorpio house, Scorpio moon. People tell me this a lot, and that Scorpio rising, it's similar to 8th house people, and people that have Scorpio placements. People want to come to you for healing because you have a very healing energy. Okay. But then they also feel very vulnerable around you, because then it's like they feel like, oh shit, excuse me, oh crap, they know my secrets. They know they know me, and then they feel a little embarrassed, and then they'll you'll feel like they reject you or they run from you, or they cut you off for no reason. And then Scorpio rise, like, what did I do? You know, I helped them. You know, it's not you. I tell this to 8th and 12th house people too. It's that people are either very comfortable with your energy, they need healing, they're drawn to you because you have a high vibration, and then they share and share, and it's okay. I got to where I started noticing this pattern in my life, and I'd be in the grocery store. People come up to me. My grandpa just died. My son, you know, tell me all this stuff, or you know, I
And
was
I'm not
abused.
laughing at the poor people. I'm laughing at you got what I'm saying here, kind of thing. Yes.
And I thought, why are people telling me all these things? I mean, and that's why I became a counselor, because I knew there's something about me that people want to talk to me about things. And so that's kind of what led me to be a social worker, honestly, because I was always listening to people's problems and trying to give them advice. So, but I started really getting into this, and I would notice that at work, it happened at work. And so a coworker was like, oh my gosh, I got to talk to you, and they come and shut the door. And I'm like, listen, I'd say, listen, and every mortal enemies would cross my office. Like everybody would come in, and they trusted me because they know I'm not going to repeat anything they tell me. And then it got to where, oh my gosh, like I know who hates who, who's in love with who, or who's being cheated on, or, you know, I knew everything. And I didn't want to know because I'm not doing counseling with you. These are just people I work with, you know. So
no,
when
but it's like that even with me too. Like, and I'll say to close friends, like, I had a crazy busy day, and you're not going to divulge people's confidences, but I might have had 30 messages from people that are having a difficult time, and they're not necessarily close friends. And I feel honored that they feel they can trust me. But when you try and explain that you're busy, right? And people, everybody respects it, but it's like, well, what really, what are you doing? Kind of thing, right?
Well, you gotta have, this is what you gotta have. Well, you, as an empath, you know this, when you have psychic abilities or boundaries. I had no boundaries when I was growing up. Like I was wide open. I felt everybody's stuff. I would get drained. I gotta have my alone time and solitude. I'm a homebody. Like I gotta withdraw from the world. I love to be home, and you know, I just love my alone time. But I also like people, and I like to be social and learn and talk. So I had to go in the world. So I had to learn to protect my energy and have boundaries. And I had to visualize a bubble around me. You know, all these things are in my books that I learned to do to protect myself, because no one explained any of this to me. I mean, I was like, I just figured it out with astrology. Why? And then, but this girl, she came in my office one day and she wanted to tell me something. I said, listen, and she was a Scorpio. And Scorpios always are drawn to me too. But I said, listen, I said, are you sure you want to tell me? I said, because I don't want you to act different around me after you tell me. I started trying to prevent people to overshare with me too quickly, because they want to overshare with Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon's 8th housers. They want to overshare. And then it's like, we had a bond with them because we got deep with someone, but then when they withdraw, we feel hurt, and then we take it personal. And I tell people, don't take it personal. It's just your energy. And some people can handle being around it. Some people want to, you know, come in your field a little bit, and then they can't handle being around you very long. Some people want to be with you all the time and are obsessed.
That's what my problem usually
they love to be around you, right? So you just got to learn to say no and have boundaries and everything. But yeah, it's
well, Carrie is fast. Carrie, I'm sorry, I went blank when I seen you on Instagram. So she popped over to, so she heard
cool.
when you answered about the Scorpio, but she's saying, I wish zodiac signs were taught in math in school, because it is so mathematical. Another day here where I never used algebra. I got to agree with you. I had to know math being a nurse, but it was not my strong suit. And yes, I agree. There's many things I wish were taught in school that would be helpful.
I know, right? And that's the thing. I never liked math, and but in the old days, we didn't have all this technology and computers, so you couldn't do an astrology chart without doing it by hand. So I had to learn how to do longitude, latitude, how to look up all the degrees of where's everything at on that day, time, place to even do people's charts. And I would draw them. I don't know how I did this. I look back in the 90s. I'm like, I used to draw the planet. I draw it, use my rulers to draw the aspects, the squares, I did all that. And then now it's like you get a computer program. I can put everything in. It's done in 2 seconds. I don't have to do the math. So now a lot of astrology schools that you get certified now, you know, and you can go to school and get a degree in astrology. They make you they make you prove that you can do a chart by hand. That's part of graduation, because that is how we always did it. We never had the computers to do the math for us. So I don't miss doing that because I hate math. So it's much easier for me now.
Either.
But in the old days, you had to know a little bit of math and geometry. I mean, you had to be able to do, measurements and longitude, latitude to even do a birth chart. You had to. And I don't know how I did that. I have old binders with charts I drew. It's pretty cool. And but yeah, I right now it take me a little time to do one, because I'm rusty. I'm rusty. I used to do them all the time. Now it's like astro.com, my Kepler, I do my own program and it pops it right out,
Well, you used to do that because I had a chart from you. I have been looking for it forever, because when you first came on the show a few years ago, if they went to your website, you could sign up for that. You got this beautiful 27-page report. I have been looking through every computer. I know I didn't throw
I
it.
can send you it again. I'll resend it. I got it in there.
Oh my gosh, I'd be eternally grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a new program too. I got a new program. It's an older one, but I have a Mac, so it won't work on the Mac. So I got it on my other computer and I missed it because I used to have it, and it's really psychological. It's really cool. It has pictures and it's a prettier report than the one I sent you. Because I have got this. This is something I had years ago that I couldn't find. I found it. So.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, Mish is asking. We are going to talk about your book.
Oh yeah, we will. I got all the little archetypes here we can go through. Yeah.
But you know what? People are learning how incredible you are and how knowledgeable you are. I'm telling you guys, you can't go wrong with picking up one of Carmen's books. And I meant that. I do talk about you a lot behind the scenes, especially the first show. All your books are incredible, but you really knocked me for a loop when you came on, because before it was just gobbledygook to me, astrology. And you were the first person, hand to God, when you explained what happens and why you need your full name, where you were born, the time, as a snapshot of the sky of where you're located, of all the 12 planets. I went, now it makes sense. So Mish is asking, has Carmen heard of human design? She says it works with astrology.
Yes, this human design became a big thing several years ago, and I've got the books. I took classes on it and stuff like that. What it does, I still prefer traditional tropical astrology. It's what human design does is it brings energy, the energy, the chakras, and a little bit of basic astrology into its analysis. So, I mean, I know a lot of people that are human design specialists. I mean, they only use human design, and then I talk to them about how similar it is to the birth wheel. But yeah, it kind of brings in, like we talked about, energy, chakras, all these things. It's different than traditional astrology because it's done a little differently, but it's very similar. And yeah, I think it's interesting, like I think I'm a manifester or something. Yeah, I did all that. And it's unique. And I see it as a tool, like, it's a tool of self-awareness. So like there's so many tools, there's tarot, there's astrology, there's human design, there's energy healing, whatever you're interested in. I learn about everything. I mean, that's what I say. Find what resonates with you. And a lot of times, that's why I'm offering consultations. If I got 1 hour, 90-minute ones, I do compatibility, marriage, relationships. I'll do an in-depth psychological analysis of your chart, past lives, your career, whatever you want. And I also can do astrocartography, like best places to live for you, things like that. So I do deep therapy. It's like a deep session when we do a chart. And I usually, I wanted to offer everyone 10% off if you want to do that with me.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've got it up on the screen, guys, but anybody, you can get, is that the code they would put? That code 10 underscore off at HTTPS, because there's people listening, remember, colon / www.carmenturner-schott.com. And yes, you guys, please, take advantage of that. And actually, I'm looking at the questions. I don't usually, when our little friend when he sends a book, we've gone through some of the list anyways, talking about what we're talking about now. With this new book, I
Yes.
would love for you to explain about archetypes.
Yes.
And we've got so many questions here too. I'm going to start starring them again.
I saw a good one from, yes, Paranormal
I,
Heart.
well, Kat is on our network.
Oh,
Kat
nice.
Ford. She
Yes.
has her own podcast called Paranormal Heart Podcast on Tuesdays. So,
Nice.
do you want to answer that now, or you want to say it? Because
Yeah.
I'd like you to get into the book.
Yeah. So absolutely, I use my intuitive abilities, and I also open up the Akashic records for everyone I do a chart on.
Oh, I
Because the
love that.
Akashic records are connected to your chart, your past lives, your patterns, your energies, your lessons, everyone that's in your life now. We can tap into that in your Akashic record. I'll share symbols with you, and sometimes it just mirrors what's in that in your records, your Akashic records. So yeah, I do use my intuitive. Sometimes it's like totally intuitive, and I'm like, this is what I'm feeling. I'm just sharing it with you. This isn't like something in a book, and
Well,
so
kind
yeah,
of like what you did to me. Like when I sent you my time of birth,
yeah,
and I never said,
knew
I
was
don't think Kat was here, and
yeah.
Carmen messaged me back. This was a couple of years ago, and said, "Are you sure that's your birth time?" And I hadn't mentioned her. I wasn't sure of the exact time.
Yeah, they're a mirror. It's so neat. I'll just share the story real quick.
Please,
I
you can talk about whatever you want.
We
I
got
don't
2 hours. I mean, we got plenty of time. But yeah, I had a friend that was from Korea, and we became very good friends. We had worked together a long time ago. Thank you. I know I can't see and read without him, but I don't always wear them. But what happened was she could see people's futures. She would see your record, your soul future. She would know all these things, right? And then she was telling me things about myself, and I'm like, and then she knew I told her I do astrology, and I started teaching her. I did her chart, and she said, and what we realized practicing together, this was back in early 2000. I mean, this was a long time ago. My daughter was like not even born yet. I have a 21-year-old. So she's like, wow. She's like, this is what I see in the soul record of this person. Because I would tell her about the chart of the person. That's what she would see. It was hard for her to explain what she would always see or feel about someone's soul, but we started realizing that it was the same thing. So I would share things about, maybe their marriage and relationship karmas, their soul mission. She's like, and it would be what's in the chart. So then she would tell me what she saw. I would look at the chart, and it was really, we got chills. I mean, it was like really cool. So after that, I got trained in the Akashic record level 3, 1, 2, and 3, and I've been doing Akashic records since probably it's been like 2009 or something
I
like that.
did not know that about you, because I'm an Akashic
Yeah.
Records practitioner.
Nice.
And my close friend Leanne Clark, who is the Crystal Architect on Instagram and Facebook, I call her the Crystal Wizardress. And we're actually working on our first course. That the way it's going, it looks like the new year, but every Wednesday we get together, because it's not going to be a one-day course. It's going to be one time a week, where it's probably going to be about 3 months of a course, giving you kind of a whole foundation, and then we're going to build off we're building a community. Anyways, she does Akashic records, but she also does it differently. And I love that, because I think we have to find the way that works best for us to access, if you will, universal consciousness, the connection, whatever you want to call it. And I did not know you did it. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm really into automatic writing too, like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I wrote my sun signs, houses, and healing book. I wrote it. I took leave. Yeah, I took leave from work for 2 weeks. This is in 2020 when I had that book. And people asked me, how did you write that book? Like, because I had a very demanding job full time. And I said, I took 2 weeks of leave. And what I did was it just flowed out. I opened up the records and did my automatic writing prayer. And I write by hand. So I had pen and paper, not typing, and it would just flow. And I just wrote pages and pages. And then I typed it all up later after I hand wrote that book. And that's how it flowed out. It was flowing. Now, that's nice when it flows. And other times I've had writer's block where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to write
My
this?
deadline's coming.
Oh my gosh. So I like it when it flows, but man, when it
I
doesn't
haven't done it in forever. And I was in my previous home, the one that was haunted. And I met this lady that lived in California. I don't know how. Anyways, she had seen my first name, and she said, that there's a restaurant by my name back in the day that was her and her husband's favorite place. And we just sort of got chit-chatting. And she had asked me some questions because I was really tapping into my intuitive abilities. And I sat there, and it wasn't with a pen, but I started typing, and I'm typing and typing, and I read it back, and I go, where the heck did that come from? And she reads it, she goes, how did you know all this stuff? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and I just said, listen, I just kind of just zoned out and typed in a way.
Akashic records. You're tapping into the Akashic records. That's how it was cool. You know, in the first training, the reason I liked it is because it was all about writing. Like everyone had a notepad, and then we'd open up our own record, and then she would, you know, the teacher would give us a question. And what was cool, I'll never forget this, in my Akashic Records level 1 class, it was in person. It was in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a long time ago. And we're sitting in a circle, and every single person wrote something about a horse. That's how connected the Akashic Records are. And she didn't ask us anything about a horse, the animal. But it had everyone. I saw horse very clearly. Started writing this stuff. Everyone mentioned a horse, and we're like, oh, that's weird, because that wasn't the question, you know. And it was something about spirituality, of the path of your spirit or whatever. And everybody was getting this horse, which horses, which is cool, are associated with the 12th house, the house of spirituality, cosmic consciousness. Large animals like horses is a 12th house animal. So it was interesting, the spirituality house. Yeah. So anyway, little things like that. It's fun. But.
Well, the way we were taught to do the Akashic Records is I worked with Amy Robeson. I think she's got a new Akashic Records course that she's putting out. And anyway, she ended up, sorry, I'm setting up Instagram again. It always does this. It kicks out halfway through. Anyways, she channeled crystals for all of us. We had a pretty big course, and she mailed them all out to us with a pendulum. I never ended up using the pendulum, but she teaches people how to check your answers with a pendulum in case you don't feel secure. But she had us go not through the heart chakra, but the heart space. And then you use the crystalline energy, and she calls them the masters, teachers, and loved ones. It's just the collective, right? You can deal a one-on-one with someone in the Akashic Records or the collective. And she had us ask questions and followed up with more questions But that's just the way to kind of open it in a way I found, because you just end up, I don't know, I'm very clairaudient, so I have a conversation basically with them. And I realized after I took the 2 courses, I took the beginner and the advanced, I realized, holy crap, no wonder I was so drawn to this. I've been doing this my entire life. Like, I realized that, like, already, right? It just, after I finished the courses, I went, but I really didn't, because I've been doing it anyways, is what I discovered. But I could see why the Akashic Records goes hand in hand with astrology. It makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. If time flies by, lady,
Sorry
I can't
if it's getting crazy. It always does this when I go to Instagram up. So give me.
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit. Yeah.
Hang on. I'm almost done. I'll just type it in here, and then watch, we'll get a whole bunch of people on Instagram. It never fails. It'll take me 1 second. Give me a sec, guys. Sorry. Okay, it should settle down now. I'm just going to add it up here. Oh, you gotta love StreamYard. Okay, let me close this. We'll close that. You're going to close for me? No, you're not. Close. Okay, one more button to push, and then we're done, guys. Let me do it for you. And usually I can do it without it creating too much of a problem, but tonight it's going to slow everything down for some reason. So what I wanted to ask you is, because I've heard the term archetypes, and I've heard people talk about archetypes, but not always in the same generality. So what is an archetype, and how does it relate to astrology? Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, the first psychologist that really talked about archetypes was Carl Jung. So he talked about the collective unconscious. Yeah, and he coined the term archetypes in psychology terms, because he you know, the anima, the animus, the shadow, those are archetypes that he started with. And then all these Jungian analysts, you know, that studied his work, they broadened. I always thought Carl Jung made the 12 archetypes, which I'll tell you what they are. I thought he
Okay.
coined the 12, but he didn't. He actually came up with the collective unconscious and, anima animus and those archetypes, but his followers expanded it to the 12 main archetypes. And I'll read you what they are. And then what me and Bernie did in this book, Astrology Zodiac Archetypes, is that we knew that each sun sign was the same personality of each of the 12 Jungian archetypes. So
Okay.
they're connected, just like tarot, just like, everything. So Aries is the first sign of zodiac, and it is the hero archetype. The hero,
Okay.
the warrior, right? The hero running into battle, right? With the sword, just like in astrology, we call Aries the warrior, right?
Okay.
And Taurus is the real person archetype. They're practical, down to earth, right? We call it the real person archetype. Gemini is the jester or the comedian archetype. Okay. Cancer is the caregiver archetype, which is very similar to astrology. They're the mother, they're the nurturer, the caretaker, right? Leo is the artist, the creator, okay, archetype. All right. Virgo is the sage or the wizard archetype, the sage, right? Libra is the lover, right? Because they ruled by Venus. They rule the 7th house of love and relationships and marriage. So you can see these connections with the Jungian archetypes. And then Scorpio, guess what Scorpio is? The magician,
Oh,
right? The sorcerer, the magician, though, specifically is their archetype. And then Sagittarius is the explorer, okay? And Capricorn is the ruler. So you can feel the energy. It's similar to their astrological personality traits, right?
mhm.
These symbols, these words. Aquarius is the outlaw. I love Aquarius. And what's cool in the book, and I'm going to give a shout out. Her name is Michelle Stapleton, Staplehood. I'll put her name in here. She's an artist from the UK that I met in my group. She's a 12th, 8th house person, and she is a wonderful painter. She can paint. So years ago, believe it or not, I had her working on creating archetype images for each of the 12 signs
No way.
back in 2020 for me. And I decided, I wanted to it took her years to paint. She did paintings of each of the archetypes, like real paintings.
Wow.
And it took her all those years to match them with what sign and what archetype it was. She developed the images for me, and they're in this book as a journal exercise. Yeah. So in our book, Astrology Zodiac Archetypes, after each chapter, Aries, the hero, you'll see how she incorporated the symbols and the imagery of the hero archetype for Aries. And then you can journal. Taurus, the real person, what she painted for that. Leo is the artist. She used a famous artist is who she drew. And he's holding a paintbrush, and he's Leo. And so her 12 images are in the book as the artist. So I wanted her to get published in there. And so it's really cool. And so she's really did a great job on the 12 images. I mean, and I'm going to start posting them on Facebook and on Insta and sharing them when I start marketing the book and stuff. So you'll see them.
So really how can people use this book? Like how, because I know every one of your books are so good. And the thing I love about it, you make astrology easy to understand, because you do.
Thank
you also, your books have so much information, and it's like real world information. It's not airy fairy. Now I know that sometimes there is, or the woo woo is needed, but especially if people don't know astrology, I believe your books could help anybody reading them. They're that easy to understand. Like, you make it very clear.
That's my goal. Like, I forgot, Pisces is the innocent, the idealist. I forgot the final one, the 12th one. I forgot to say what they were.
My son Justin was a Pisces. Now I know that it's, but it kind of sounds like some of the characteristics of the archetypes are describing. He was very innocent, very childlike, very.
Yes. They're dreamers. They're imaginative. They're the dreamer, the innocent. Yeah. Yeah. And idealist. That's big for Pisces.
Well,
And
my Logan is the Cancer, so you were perfect about the Cancer.
yeah, the caregiver, the nurturer.
He's graduating from social work actually in May with his degree.
That's good for him. I love that. Oh, we'll have to connect. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, good question. So in the book, what I really try to show is the energy of the personality strengths, traits with each of the zodiac archetypes, how to connect and tap in to the strengths of your archetype. And so there's journal prompt questions at the end of each chapter for each sign to think about what they resonate with the archetype, you know, the image of the painting, you know, the picture, you know, how if they connect with it, you know, what they want to learn more, what they want to harness, you know. And so we start off with that in the introduction, and then we get deep because we dig into past life patterns of every sign. Okay.
Ooh.
And how and what each sign is here to overcome, and what patterns they tend to repeat in this life. And that we link that with the sun sign specifically. And of course, you know, we bring the energy of, you know, the nodes and the different energies into it, but it'll help you understand the things you're here to master and learn, and maybe things you're meant to let go of or change about yourself, and lessons, you know, like for instance, Pisces, they're known, their greatest challenge is learning to have boundaries. And
that's what I put up. He said, Benno from Oz, 1975. My wife is a Pisces. I can never understand her, but he put a funny comment below that he said, sorry, I said it, come back. He says, did I lose it? Oh, I hope I didn't lose it. Hi, Bob Burnell. You're sharing it out. Thank you so much. I had it. Hopefully. Oh, there it is. Because you got to have it right in the right spot on Streamer. He says, I'm an earth sign. She's a water sign. Together we make mud? Question marks.
Oh my gosh.
But it might help you, wouldn't you think, with the archetype, like if you knew what the archetype was of, say, your spouse or your partner, maybe to be able to understand a little easier.
Absolutely. I mean, the 12 archetypes of Jung are the 12 zodiac signs, similar traits. And this is what the book's about, and sharing that, and you'll be like, oh, this is cool, connecting this. We even we dig a little deeper into ancient history. So Hippocrates, okay, the father of medicine, right? You're a nurse. He was an astrologer. All the medical stuff that we have in old medical books, they started realizing that certain, you know, people born on certain dates, sun signs, had certain health vulnerabilities. And then in old medical books, you'll see a drawing of a man, and the symbols of each of the 12 zodiac signs, we call them symbols or archetypes. Aries is the ram, Taurus is the bull. You'll see the bull on the throat. Aries, the ram picture is on the head of the man in the book. Gemini's the arms, the respiratory system, the limbs, and you'll see the symbols. Scorpio's the reproductive system.
That analogy though before years ago, and I don't want to say it's a medical textbook, but somebody had done some research. I don't know if it was a couple studies looking at astrological signs and the propensity for where they may be vulnerable to develop illness or disease, as they would say.
Absolutely. And where he came up with some of this, it goes back before him to the four humors. Have you heard of the humors, which are, they used to look at the bile of our system.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
That's related to the four elements of astrology: earth, air, fire, and water. Yes. And the signs of the zodiac are associated with each of the humors.
Because Chinese medicine also starts to get into the elements as well.
All of this has been around for a long time, but there's quotes, and when I was doing my presentation, I did a lot of research on this before I presented it. And I always thought, you know, if you look online, it'll say that Hippocrates said something, and I found out he really didn't say that. He said something similar, but you'll see a quote online, and it's He says that a physician that doesn't have a knowledge of astrology is not a physician, but a fool.
I agree because, okay, I don't
But
quote me 100%, but I
Yeah.
believe Nostradamus also knew astrology.
Yes.
Because I was listening to basically Dolores Cannon transcribing through a hypnosis subject and him explaining the Nostradamus, what I don't know what you call them, basically everybody thought it was doom and gloom. And he said, no, I wrote it this way because of the time I was in, and I could have lost my life. Like, you guys are completely off base with a lot of this. But he also talked about the healing, and he was years ahead in medicine, and a lot of it had to do with astrology. I remember that. I'm positive.
It's all connected. I was going to answer a couple questions here.
Oh, good, because I saw that. I started. Let me put it up because people that are listening won't know what we're talking about. So I'll read it for you, Carmen.
Okay.
Carrie Fast is saying, I would love to hear you talk about Chiron. I am told this wounded healer. Sorry, I got to read it here. I haven't got my glasses on. I am told this wounded healer, and there is a generation in this, like I am born 1974, being Chiron and Aries. I've heard the name, but I don't know what Chiron means.
Yes, Chiron in astrology, it's an asteroid, you know. It was found, you know, when we looked at it, you know, some, you know, planet asteroid, you know, Chiron is the one asteroid that I do use when I do readings for people, because
you said that at the beginning about asteroids. You said we weren't going to get into it.
Yeah. I'm going to get into this one. Chiron is called the wounded healer, and it goes back. You can Google this, guys. Look up the story of Chiron and what happened to Chiron in mythology. Okay, that's the same energy and lessons of Chiron in our natal chart, the same kind of wounds, which means we feel betrayed. We have some type of betrayal that's happened to us, right? I have Chiron in Aries, just like Heidi and Carrie both do. So that it has to do with everyone has a Chiron somewhere. And like I said, when your moment, time, place, year of birth, Chiron is in one of the star constellations. So if I was born in 75, it looks like you guys are born around the same time as me. So Chiron was in Aries for all of us. Absolutely. And
I was in 1965. So,
okay. So Chiron, you probably have a different sign for Chiron in your birth chart, but Chiron in Aries is a big deal right now because Chiron is in Aries in the sky right now too.
Okay.
So what it is doing is people that have Chiron and Aries in their birth chart when you were born, we are going through many intense lessons of healing and forgiving the past, letting go of the past, healing our wounds, our traumas. Chiron and Aries is bringing all of our traumas up to be healed right now. And what Chiron is it's where we have to heal something, and then we become a wounded healer and help other people that have gone through similar things we've been through. That's what Chiron is about. It's the wounded healer in our birth chart.
I think that's the best healer, personally, is when you were in, because I believe I'll be working on inner healing till the day I die. I have a goal of learning something new every day. But the other thing is, while we're a work in progress and we're working with others, you know what? Because I think we can feel it. Not that we know what someone's going through, but we can understand from an empathy perspective because we're a work in progress, I'll say myself. Is that wrong what I'm saying about Chiron? Because that's what it sort of sounds like.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, Chiron, this is the cool thing that no one told me about until I got a little bit older. I figured this out with astrology, is that, you know, when you talk about the midlife crisis, right? That happens exactly when Chiron returns in your chart to where it was when you were born. So we call it the Chiron return, which is around age 50 to 52. So I'm in my Chiron return right now. Chiron was in Aries when I was born. Chiron is back right sitting in my transit chart in my 8th house on my Chiron. So I completely changed my life this year. I walked away from a job I had for 25 years, quit, and did a whole refresh. And I'm like, I just knew it was dead. It was done. I had to let it go. I've been going through a lot of healing. So we all have healing with Chiron, but it can get really intense during the Chiron return, which is the midlife crisis time, guys. 50, yeah, you'll start feeling the Chiron return. Everyone has one. And it's like Saturn return. Saturn, we all have a Saturn return at age 27 to 30 and age 57 to 60. And if you live long enough, you'll have another one. My grandfather just had his third Saturn return. He just turned 90. And
I
Saturn
just turned 60, August 15th.
I just turned
knew
50.
this year.
I just turned 50.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's a big, those are big birthdays. But I had my whole life turned upside down in January, not expecting what was going to happen. And so far, we're almost through this year, but I know that things are shifting and changing in a huge way. I could feel it, not just with the birthday, but everything that's happened.
I was going to tell Heidi two things. There's a lot of bad stuff out there about, let me say this. There's no bad placement, but there are more difficult learning lessons that some of us have in our chart. Eighth house planets, certain placements of the moon. But it is all about, we chose our chart because we wanted to learn these lessons.
I always say I wish I would have read the fine print.
Yes, it's like, that baby that's born is like, oh shoot, I'm on Earth again. Oh no, or wait a minute, soul contract. Why? Oh, that's I saw that meme. I'm like, yep. But yeah, it's like until you go through something hard. But I have a lot of people that do come to me to do charts that have had bad readings with others that have scared them or told them their chart was negative or bad stuff. I focus on the positive of all of the aspects and not fatalistic, deterministic. I focus on we're going to have challenges, and I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. I'll tell you what I see, but I'm going to give you different tips on how to work with the energy to make it better. So that's why if I can do the chart of someone early when they're younger, we can prevent some things. We can.
Oh, look who's here.
Oh, Gavin.
We're glad you're
the best publicist in the world. I love Gavin.
Sure is, Gavin. He put us together. God, when you've been talking about I think it was over 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I love it that Gavin's here. And I was going to tell you, Heidi, you asked about Cancer. Cancer, that's the thing with Cancer, is the caregiver archetype. You're meant to learn to nurture and care for yourself. That's Cancer's greatest lesson, because they're all about helping other people, nurturing, mothering, taking care of the family, their parents, all this stuff. And you have to learn to nurture you. And that sometimes it's okay to put up the crab shell to protect yourself, because you're so empathic and sensitive and nurturing and care. And Cancers can get a bad rap, because sometimes they can seem and appear cold on the outside, because if you've been hurt, you can put a shell up, the crab shell, and you won't let people in because you do get hurt. But you got to learn it's okay to say no, and you don't have to help everybody, and you don't have to deplete your own energy and struggle giving. It's okay for Cancer to say, wait a minute, what about me? And you need to take care of your own needs and what you want. And that's big with Cancer. So,
well, plus, you know what? I think we all need reminders, especially when they're, the kind of work that you're doing, even in the spiritual or healing field, is I found out was really monumental years ago. I was very good at giving, but not good at receiving, for one thing, because, like somebody call you up and say, hey, I want to take you out for dinner. And you'd think, oh, no, you don't have to pay for my ticket. I'd love to go with you. But no, God, no, right? That was somebody doing it out of the goodness of their heart, for example, right? So getting better at receiving. But the big reminder I find we all need, and this is for everybody, that we can't continue to give and give and give without first filling up our own pitcher first. We have to take care of ourselves, right? Yeah. So that you're going to have enough to give. And I don't mean selfishly, but that's a lesson in a way to remind us, right? Like what you just said, even about Cancers, we have to look after ourselves first in order to continue to be who we're meant to be.
It's kind of like, they say this, when you're on the airplane, they always tell you to put your oxygen mask on first. And you're not put your oxygen mask on first, right? And then you go help others. That's a good learning lesson we all could learn from being, when we fly. They're telling us like a good self-care thing right there. But yeah, it's the thing with self-care. All the signs self-care in different ways, and it's not going to work the same for everyone. Okay, because depending on if you're fire, air, earth, or water, what your sun sign is, your primary, we all have we have all the elements in our chart, right, in our personality. But I can look at your birth chart and see where you lack an element, because sometimes we might have no air in our chart, or we have all fire and we have no water, or we have all water and no fire. And what happens is we start attracting people that have the energy that we lack. And that doesn't mean it doesn't. And then there's a lot of problems in those relationships because you're not really the most compatible, but you attract what you lack. You also attracts like
a lot of sense. That makes so much sense. Because I've been beginning to say over the years, at the age I've gotten to, I don't think I'm very good at picking. I'm not. Well, maybe that's what it is. I'm lacking one of the elements.
You do. Yeah. You're drawn to your opposite, and I used to always draw my opposite. And then, I knew, because astrology really saved me from many bad situations. Thank gosh, because I ended up marrying a Virgo born the same day as me. And we've been married 26 years. But before that, I always would attract Aries, and they were awful for me. Hurt me, cheat, lie, all that, betray me. And I'm like, what? But it was like, I knew them. As soon as I walk in, I knew it. And what it was for it, I can see this, I can look at everyone's chart and be able to tell you these things if I do a reading with you, because it has to do with the 8th house. What sign is there? I have my moon in Aries in the 8th. That's why I drew Aries sun signs. Not the best match because I have too much earth. I have a lot of Virgo, even though I have a fire moon. So you have to look at the whole chart. You got to look at everything. Right. And what signs on the 7th, where is your Venus and Mars, your love planets? We want to look at that. There's so much that goes into it that I can share with you if I do a consultation with you and tell you, this is who I recommend that you look for, these signs. People with these traits, these energies is going to be a good match for you. But I always know this is who you're drawing. And they're like, yes. I'm like, it didn't work. And they're like, yeah, or this is a good match for you. And like, yeah, I married a Capricorn. I'm like, that's a good match for you. And so you'll see, these patterns in the chart, and I can share the compatibility things.
I'm thinking of one client I have now that I think I'm going to connect you with it. This may help a lot.
Yeah, give her the 10% off coupon. She can go right on my website and book a consult. I have I have a calendar thing you can book and shows my openings and all that stuff. Yeah.
So you mentioned your second book because you got another one, right? That's out already. Is that the one you were going to talk about?
We're going to do the zodiac archetypes is what we've been doing, but I do have another book.
That's what I thought, because I'm going to have her back on, you guys. I am, I promise.
Yeah, I'll come back. Now, I have 12 books.
I don't know how. Wasn't one of the first books when I met you it was about 5, almost 6 years ago. And now you got 12 books. I'm so impressed.
I have 12 books. So how it started was I self-published my very first book in 2010, and it was called The Mysteries of the 8th House, Phoenix Rising. Okay. That is about my research that I shared about people that have spiritual, unexplained experiences, all these things with ghosts, death, loved ones, all these things.
Yeah, my middle name should be, if it's weird, it's me.
And you're an 8th houser, see? That's my book. So I wrote that, and then I tried to get it published, but I just couldn't get my foot in the publishing world. They said no one wants a book about one house, so I kind of gave that up, and I just wrote for fun, wrote to help people, and then I got I'll tell you the story. I got this publisher, and they want me to write a book about all the houses, so I did so. And then my editor left and something happened. This is back in 2010. And they're like, oh, wait, we're not going to publish it now. There's just not a market for it. So I self-published it. It's called A Practical Look at the Planets Through the Houses. It's out on Amazon, self-published it, and then I ended up finally having this idea about healing and sharing my research on the signs and how each of them heals, how they transform, and how they become more resilient. So that's my Sun Signs, Houses, and Healing book, which was my very first published book with a publisher. And then I started publishing with Old Books, John Hunt Publishing in the UK, where Gavin was my amazing publicist. And I did my Mysteries of the 12th Astrological House, Fallen Angels. Then I did my Phoenixes and Angels book with them as well, Mastering the 8th and 12th Houses, same publisher. And then I did Astrology's Magical Nodes of the Moon with them, about the past lives, soul mission. Me and Bernie wrote that one together. And then now Astrology Zodiac Archetypes is me and Bernie. Again, another book with Old Books. And then I have Your Astrological Energy with Llewellyn that was just published in August. So it's out there. It's a thick one. Yeah, all my books are written in a basic way that you will understand what I'm talking about. Like how I'm talking to you now is how I write. I'm not talking about high level, math, longitude.
That's why I said you were the first person. And I told you that the first time you were on my show. I said you were the first person that it actually makes so much sense to me about what astrology is, why it's necessary. And the other revelation I don't think I've ever told you or ever said on the show. After you were on, I went, holy crap. When we come to Earth here, you feel like you're all alone. You have been sent, if you want to call it your father, your mother, whoever sent you here from where you came. You've got a whole backpack that you're not aware of. There's astrology. We have guides. We have, I mean, I could go on and on and on. There are so many tools out there to help support us and tell us why we're here and that we're not alone, like what we're here for.
Well, I saw this video. And I didn't know if it was fake or real, but I think it was a real video. It was black and white of an interview with Carl Jung.
Okay.
Like I told you, he was an astrologer. And they asked him, do you believe in God? And he said, I don't have to believe. I know.
Oh, I love that answer.
And it's because he saw, he's the one that, he had these experiences, synchronicity. He coined that term synchronicity, collective unconscious. The shadow, that was him. We know there's shadow stuff, shadow work. I mean, all of this, he was an astrologer. He saw that astrology validated what was going on in people's lives. That's what proved to him that there was a creator, God, force, Mother Earth, whatever you want to call it.
That's kind of how it came together for me. After, I swear to God, after you were on my show, that was the first time. That was a huge revelation. And I went, wow, I love that poem ever since I was a little girl, Footprints in the Sand. If you haven't heard of it, guys, look it up. But we meet people in our practices who feel like they are all alone, and maybe physically you might feel like you are. But I am telling you, if you're even one iota open to a spiritual type of thing, you start looking, the answers are there. And you came with your backpack full of it. You may not think so, but you are never alone.
Never alone. And that's the thing. I want to give people hope, help people and see how astrology can help them find their purpose, and that there is a reason that you're here. I tell people that because people ask me, so they'll say, Carmen, so is it destiny, or can your chart be changed? Can you, and this is what I say, it's a little bit of both. Yeah. Because some things are meant to happen no matter what we do. They're destined to happen. Okay. And then some things are seen in the chart that are destined to happen in your birth chart, which is also in the Akashic record. It matches. And then some things can be prevented if you know yourself, like the boundaries thing, like being overly trusting, maybe attracting people, attracting people that are opposite of you, and or marrying later in life. There's things that I can advise. Being careful when you're driving, be a little less reckless, right? There's things that you can advise and when you see certain things in someone's chart, but the big things that happen are meant to happen to get us into our North Node, which is our soul mission.
Thank you for saying that, because I was just going to say that it may sound or look on paper that it's like, there's no way I want to go through that. But the thing is, it's meant to be there, because then you have to do something with what happened in that pivotal moment, right?
Absolutely. And people always say to me, Carmen, I would have never picked my life. I would never pick my parents. But I believe that we have chosen our parents. We choose when our soul, and when we're in soul form, we don't think like we do now. We
That's
don't
trying to
feel.
explain.
We're like, we just like, ooh, I want to learn that lesson. Send me back, and because I always said, I don't want to come back. I don't want to come back. Why would I chose to come back here? But we do. We are we're in our true form and essence, and on the other side, we don't think the same way we do now. We want to learn these lessons, and everyone comes here to learn something. This is a school that we're here,
and it's a difficult school.
It's a difficult school, and that's what karma is. We have karma, which are things we have to learn. And Saturn represents karma in astrology in the birth chart. Saturn is associated with the North Node, because when you get into your Saturn return at age 27 to 30 is the first time ever that you start getting pulled towards your mission on this earth. We're living in the past lives until age 30. We're not even aware of what we're here to do. Then as we get older and life happens and we have these things, it spurs us into our North Node, which is our soul mission. And by the time we're 60, 57 to 60, people are in their node. I do charts all the time. They're like, that's exactly what happened to me. This is how I was, and I'm doing it now. I'm doing exactly what you're telling me. We get into the North Node no matter what.
I never planned on doing this. I love what I do. I was planning to go to become from my nursing degree, a nurse practitioner and medical school. I didn't know I was going to have a son with a severe disability with severe autism. And instead of feeling sorry for myself, I was thankful for the blessings. Like at least I had a little pension coming in. I know parents that had to give up careers with a child with the issues that I did, right? So and then doing what I'm doing now. I love what I'm doing now. I could never see me doing.
You're good at it. You're meant to, you're meant to do that. Just like I always loved astrology. And it's been my passion. Like I live it. Like I've been living astrology. I've been living it. Like I live it. I talk like day to day. Where's the moon? Full moon, guys. Mercury retrograde. Like, and people work like, and they're like, Carmen, is Mercury retrograde? So I try to plant seeds to open people's minds up to this. And that's been my goal throughout my 50 years I've been here now is to open up people's minds about these things and to help people understand what's going on. It's energy. The energy of the planets going on in the sky right now. Like we just had eclipses in September. It's been kicking everybody's butt. Everybody I've talked to, they've been exhausted. They're getting sick. They don't feel good. They just feel down. I mean, I got friends that have anxiety. There's a lot going on for people. And a lot of it has to do with the planets in the sky, the transits, and how they're affecting you right now, which is what we do is a transit chart. Take a picture of the sky right now, and we put it on top of your birth chart. And I can tell you, this is what's going on in the home and family house. This is what's going on in your health. This is what's going on in your marriage, your work. And then they're like, oh my gosh. And I was okay, how long is it going to happen? I can tell you, you're going to be feeling this for a while. It's going to be years, or it's going to be 2 months. That's what transits are. And it's all energy. That's all astrology is energy. It's just a tool of self-awareness. That's what it is.
I love you so much. And I said, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm booking into, I think, the end of February. I hope I can have you back on then. Because
I would love to come on. Yeah, I'll book
for February. You are a fan fave. That's why I put you out like that, because don't get me wrong, I love everybody I have on, but there are people like you that I have on that my audience loves. And this 2 hours just flew by. So where can people find you? Where can they find your books? How can they book readings? A whole bit with you.
Absolutely. The easiest way to book with me is to go to my website, www.carmenturner-schott, SCHOTT.com. Go to my consultations page. If there's usually a pop-up that'll come up to book with me if you're a first-time visitor. I have 2 free downloads on my page for the 8th house. I have an 8th house journal and a 12th house journal you can get for free if you sign up for my newsletter through my website. But go to the consultations page, and you can pick a date, a 60-minute or 90-minute. And when you go to pay, make sure you put the 10_ off to get the 10% off of a reading with me. And you can also gift it. If you want to gift someone, a child, or, I have a lot of college kids whose parents, I help them, and I do counseling with them as well. So yeah, if you want to book for a friend, family member, it's a lot of fun. I do a lot in an hour. It's deep. So I always recommend 90 minutes if it's your first time getting your chart done with me, because we cover a lot of stuff. It's hard to get it all done in 1 hour. So yeah.
Well, you guys, like I said, I will have her back. She's been, so if you guys want to see some of the previous shows, I know they're on my YouTube channel under, I believe, the live tab. No, I don't know if the first one's there, but it'll be on SoundCloud, on Spotify, wherever. You'll be able to find the audio. But if you go back, there's quite a few shows with Carmen on there, you guys. Check it out because all of her books are incredible. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and you can get all my books. Yeah, I forgot about that. You can get my books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google my name. Most of them are on my website, and they'll take you to the link. So, yeah.
And then what I want to tell you is next week, we are continuing our discussion that I did on Michelle DeRoche's show on the Outer Realm a few weeks ago, because that's Monday, October 20th. We are doing part 2 of exorcisms and all of that stuff we were talking about on Michelle's show. So it's going to be a spooky show. So I hope you guys are going to be there for that. This Thursday, I haven't touched base with Carrie Lynn. I know she's traveling because she's coming up to where I live in Thunder Bay for a paranormal conference. So we are still planning a show on Thursday, but depending on the weather, if the weather's not good, I don't want her to drive, obviously, because it's a long drive. And she's not coming, like she has family in Sault Ste. Marie, but depends. The highway's really bad between Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay. So if she's here by Thursday, we'll do a show. If not, it'll be a replay. But we're hoping and planning for a live show. You guys can always get a hold of me on Facebook.com/AngelRock or any other social media platform. I do psychic and mediumship. I do Akashic Records. I do energy healing and teaching and mentoring. And stay tuned because Dolly Saffron and Preston Denton are coming up next with The Light Gate. We love you all. Hang in there, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a nice outro here. Oh boy, hang on.